Here's Dave Bossie, the former Trump deputy campaign manager and a Fox News contributor, and author of the new book, Trump's Enemies. Ed Rendell, former DNC chair and former governor of Pennsylvania, is here as well. Ed, good to see you.
Good to see you.
All right, I want to start with you. Seth Moulton, a Democratic lawmaker, just tweeted this in the last couple of moments. He says, Congresswoman Marcia Fudge of Ohio is the kind of new leader that we deserve in this party, and I hope she runs for Speaker. We need more women, including women of color, in congressional leadership. What's happening in the Democratic Party tonight?
Well, look, Democrats who ran for office were afraid that Nancy Pelosi was an albatross that would be hung around their neck. And it turns out she wasn't. Despite the Republicans' attempt to demonize Nancy Pelosi, we're going to win about 40 seats in the most recent election, 40 seats that were previously held by Republicans. Nancy Pelosi is the reason that most of those Democrats won, because she, by her leadership, and only by her leadership, got the ACA passed without any Republican votes.
But Ed, pardon me, if she did such a great job, why are a rising number of Democrats saying, no, we want a new face?
Well, I don't think, when you consider what the caucus numbers are, I don't think 17 is a rising number. And you're always going to have people who want change, and I understand the need for change. But Nancy Pelosi was a great speaker. She saved the country when she found the votes for TARP, for President Bush's TARP program, when the Republicans couldn't pass it. Mm-hmm. She saved the ACA. You ask Barack Obama, and he'll tell you there wouldn't be an ACA without Nancy Pelosi. And the ACA was the reason that most of our candidates won.
So let me bring in Dave Bossie. Dave, when the president tweeted a couple of days ago that, look, if the Democrats can't get her to 218 the votes to become Speaker, we'll get Republicans to do it. That's because the president wants her to be Speaker, doesn't he?
We desperately want Nancy Pelosi back. Unfortunately, the Democrats took the House. We would love to have, I think, see Nancy Pelosi be Speaker, because she represents, and her negatives are so high across this country that it gives us an opportunity once again to juxtapose Democrat policies of open borders, sanctuary cities, destroying ICE, like Kamala Harris just talked about today, again, whether it's tax hikes, you name the liberal policy, they're going to be for it. And with Nancy Pelosi as Speaker, we're going to be able to say what Republicans stand for, and really make a great case again for the president's reelect and taking back the House in 2020.
Ed, on that question of open borders, I want to play a little bit more of what Kamala Harris said today, and I want to give you a chance to respond. Listen to this.
Are you aware that there's a perception that ICE is administering its power in a way that is causing fear and intimidation, particularly among immigrants, and specifically among immigrants coming from Mexico and Central America? Are you aware of that perception?
I do not see a parallel between the power and the authority that ICE has to do its job.
Ed, the context is that's Ron Vitello. He's the president's nominee. He's served his country for 30 years now in law enforcement. He is the nominee to be director of ICE. And I looked it up, and a couple of weeks ago, Ed, as a Democrat, you said publicly that the party was making a mistake by saying they should abolish ICE. And you said that some of these ideas are not based in reality and that could help the president be reelected in 2020. Why is Kamala Harris not listening to you and comparing ICE agents to the KKK?
Well, first of all, I don't know how many people listen to me anymore. But having said that, it makes no sense. Look, ICE should be reformed, and there are problems with ICE, and there's no question. And Senator Harris has identified some of those problems. But ICE also performs vital functions like keeping drug dealers from crossing our borders, keeping people who want to get young girls and turn them into sex slaves. ICE needs reform, but it doesn't need abolishment. If we got rid of ICE, we'd have to come up with an agency just like it. So it makes no sense.
Dave, when you look at the Democratic potential field, we're talking about maybe a couple of dozen different senators, House members and whatnot want to get in, whether it's Sherrod Brown, Elizabeth Warren, who might have hurt herself with the DNA test, and all of that back and forth with the president. What about what Kamala Harris said today?
Oh, it's outrageous. Look, Ed is exactly right. We need an agency like ICE. To attack ICE is the equivalent of attacking every law enforcement man or woman across this great country. The men and women who put on the uniform every day and go out there to protect us from the bad guys. And that is what this is about. It's about law and order versus lawlessness. It is about supporting law enforcement against the open borders policies that these people support. So I think we need to support ICE. This president certainly supports ICE, and we need Republicans and Democrats to support ICE. Yep. And if Ed thinks there needs to be reforms in it, yep, I think that let's talk about those small things around the edges, but let's not demonize an entire police force.
Ed, I've got less than 30 seconds, but let's put together what you had previously said that I noted about ICE and some Democrats saying it should be abolished, the Harris comments today, the talk about 85 different subpoenas. There may be things that Democrats want to investigate that might be fair. But do you think the Democrats may overplay their hand in the days ahead?
It's always a potential, and the Republicans did it during the Bill Clinton impeachment. Look, we need to show the country we can legislate and get things done. That's even more important than investigations. There are some, as you said, investigations that are probably appropriate, but let's get in there and try to solve the nation's problems. And even if we can't get the bills past the Senate, let's get a good bill.
Quick last word from Dave Bossie.
What we stand for.
Go ahead, Dave.
And overreach is going to be the watchword of this Congress. They are not going to be able to help themselves because their base demands radical action by this radical new group of congressmen and women who have come to Washington and are going to attack this president at every turn.
Dave Bossie, Ed Rendell, appreciate you both coming in.
Thanks.